Okay, how we all doing? I'm gonna make a little driving video. I haven't made an update to this channel in quite a while, but just wanted to let you guys know some updates about the crypto market, the markets in general, my thoughts, and what I think the best buys are right now. Okay, so my top 4 best buys right now in the crypto market, I would say is number 1, Digibyte. This is not real specific order. Okay, I think all 4 are relatively good buys compared to each other. Although number 1, I'd probably say Digibyte. Number 2, I'd probably say Populous Coin. PPT is the ticker. Number 3, I would say Litecoin. And then number 4, I would say is Veritasium. Okay. I like these 4 because they're different projects, they have different use cases, and they're hedges against each other, okay? So Litecoin and Digibyte I like a lot, but those are blockchains, right? I like Litecoin a lot. I think Litecoin will be the silver to Bitcoin's gold. I like what's happening with Litecoin a lot. And I think in the future, once we see atomic swaps and the Lightning Network be used a lot more, I do believe we will at some point see a 10-to-1 ratio with Litecoin to Bitcoin. Even though right now it is 100-to-1, and then Cliff High's WebBot data does say it will be 5-to-1. I'm not sure it'll ever hit 5-to-1, but I think a 10-to-1 ratio is reasonable, just because of Lightning Network and atomic swaps. Once these blockchains can really talk to each other seamlessly, people will be using Litecoin, I think, a lot more for payments and things like that. So I like Litecoin a lot. It's also, in a lot of ways, it's a, Bitcoin, most developers, probably the biggest developer community besides Ethereum is Bitcoin. And Litecoin basically gets Bitcoin's upgrades before Bitcoin does. So in a lot of ways, it's a side chain and a test net for Bitcoin. So I think Litecoin has a bright future. It's got a good community. It's a good coin. You can build on top of it more than people think you can. Similar in some ways to Ethereum, that you can build, Ethereum-like applications on Litecoin. Okay, you can't do everything you can on Ethereum, but you can do a lot of it, right? A lot of smart contracts on Litecoin. I like Digibyte for the same reasons. It's another blockchain that you can build on top of. It's 40 times faster than Bitcoin. In my opinion, Digibyte has the best tech out of any blockchain, okay? It's basically, you have to think of Digibyte like this, okay? Digibyte is basically if you forked Bitcoin and you made the best version that the internet today could handle of Bitcoin, okay? So the guys, Jared Tate and the developers of Digibyte, they did their research and they looked at studies from MIT, and they found that 15-second blocks is basically the fastest the internet can handle without there being vulnerabilities to the blockchain. Okay, so Digibyte has a 15-second block time compared to Bitcoin's 10-minute, or even Litecoin 2.5 minutes. So Digibyte's 10 times faster than Litecoin as well. Okay, it's crazy fast. Okay, so it's also a lot more scalable than both those blockchains. Okay, and it's the same type of blockchain, and it gets the same upgrades that Bitcoin and Litecoin do. Right? We talked about how Litecoin gets the upgrades that Bitcoin's going to get before, but Digibyte actually had segregated witness before Litecoin did. Okay, so it's important to realize that Digibyte, their developers are really smart. They follow the core roadmap too, and if Bitcoin and Litecoin do an important upgrade like segregated witness, and they think that Digibyte should also have it, they're not afraid to also upgrade Digibyte. Okay, so it's really the best of both worlds. It's the Bitcoin upgrades that they want to pull from the Bitcoin core software, and at the same time, it's a lot faster and more scalable. A lot more. Okay, it's also got 5 mining algorithms, which make it more decentralized in certain ways, and it has something called DigiShield, which means that the difficulty readjusts every block. Okay, so that basically makes Digibyte even more secure. In a lot of ways, Digibyte's actually more secure. It's actually the most secure blockchain there is, Digibyte. Okay, partially due to DigiShield, and partially due to its mine decentralization, its node decentralization, and also due to how much proof of work has gone into the total length of the blockchain so far. Okay, so Digibyte, very strong. Those are my two favorite blockchain projects right now, probably Litecoin and Digibyte. But I'm also bullish. I'm bullish on Ethereum. I'm bullish on Monero. Monero is probably my favorite privacy coin. I would much rather hold Ethereum over EOS. I don't, I'm a big fan of Ethereum. But yeah, Litecoin, Digibyte. And then I like Populus and Veritasium, okay? And these are kind of a hedge against blockchains, okay? So even though I'm very confident in Litecoin and Digibyte, we don't necessarily know what blockchains are going to survive, right? For instance, Bitcoin maximalists think that all blockchains will go away and everything will be built on top of Bitcoin, right? Well, Populus and Veritasium are my two favorite tokens, okay? And what that means is that they're built on top of Ethereum, okay? But it's important to realize that these are business platforms and they can be built on top of any blockchain. And so if EOS becomes the dominant blockchain, Veritasium can easily move onto EOS. It can easily be built on top of Litecoin. It can be built on top of Digibyte. And this is important, and it's true of Populus as well. So both Populus and Veritasium are business platforms, and their tokens and their basic premise can be built on top of any blockchain, okay? So you have to think of it this way. Blockchains are like the internet, right? So we're going to have, I think there will be at least 5 to 10 internets that will succeed, right? I think Litecoin will be around, Bitcoin's going to be around, Ethereum's going to be around, there'll be a couple privacy coins, I think Digibyte's going to be around. But these are protocols that you can build on top of, similar to the internet, okay? And then, on top of the internet, we have internet companies, right? We have Google, we have Amazon, we have Facebook, the list goes on, right? And that's the way you need to think of Populus and Veritasium and these other tokens. These are business platforms. These are businesses that are using these blockchains to build their business proposition on top of, okay? But I like Veritasium and Populus tokens as a hedge against the blockchain because I think these companies will succeed regardless of Ethereum dies or what blockchain wins. It doesn't matter to these companies, right? Just like Google could use a different internet, right? If there were multiple internets, it doesn't matter. Google software could run on top of any of the internets. Okay, so it's important to realize. Okay, so it's a hedge, right? Also, I'm a fan of the leadership of Veritasium and Populus, especially Veritasium. Okay, I've been following Reggie Middleton for years, and Reggie Middleton is one of the smartest people in finance I've ever seen, and I really believe in his projects. He's a very, very smart man. And I also like Populus and Veritasium because of the problems that they're solving, okay? A lot of people, they overhype the blockchain and what it's good at, okay? What blockchain's best at is reducing friction in financial markets, okay? And that's what Veritasium and Populus, you guys, are built for. Populus is a peer-to-peer lending platform. It's built for Invoice Factory, which was one of the highest margins for banks of any sector, okay? If you look at the margin, what the margin is basically the profit, right? So what banks charge. Banks will charge sometimes 30% interest on these short-term loans for Invoice Factory, okay? That's what Populus is going after, right? And they could reduce the margin that the banks are making and do it cheaper for businesses by a factor of 10, at least, probably cheaper, okay? And so you have to realize that that's what the blockchain's best at, right? So there's a lot of projects that I see that come to, one that comes to mind is Augur, for example, or some of these other tokens. I'm not saying that these projects can't succeed, but they're not what the blockchain is really built for, okay? I think there's a lot of programmers and there's a lot of developers in the blockchain space right now, but there's not as many business people and there's not as many financial people. And, I like these financial tokens more than anything because that's what the blockchain will really shine in. So Augur is a peer-to-peer, basically it's like a betting platform, right? It's called like a decentralized oracle built on top of Ethereum, right? So how Augur works is you have Augur tokens, and you're basically betting that there's going to be a certain outcome, right? So, for instance, if you're an MMA fan, Conor McGregor is going to fight Khabib. Nurmagomedov, or however the hell you say his name. Okay, so you could take your Augur tokens with the Augur network, and you could bet that Conor McGregor is going to win that fight. And then it goes into a smart contract, and then it gets put into a pool, and then whoever actually wins, the Augur system automatically knows, and it does an automatic payout to whoever won, right? Now that's cool, but why is that better than going to Sherdog or some of these other betting platforms, right? As an end user, I don't care if the platform's really decentralized. I just want the easiest thing to use, right? Human beings want ease of use, and they also want like the social standing, right? So if I see that a lot of my friends and family are using Sherdog, which is a betting platform, and I go on Google and it has good reviews, and no one's being scammed out of their money, and Sherdog's always paying out, and it's the cheapest to use and easiest to use, and they have the most liquidity, right? I'm going to use them, right? I don't care what the back end looks like, okay? So it's important to realize, so what sets Augur apart? Yeah, Augur is cool because it's decentralized and it uses smart contracts and all this fancy stuff, but does Augur have a good marketing team? Are they actually going to be able to get market share away from these companies like Sherdog? Does it have a community, right? You know, Augur has like 200 people. Last time I looked at, like, Augur had like 200 or like 400 people using the platform, so it has like no liquidity basically. And so a lot of these tokens are going to run into liquidity problems, right? And from a user standpoint, is it really any better than using these other betting platforms, right? And that's true of a lot of these tokens, you guys. And you have to realize 90% of these tokens are going to fail. But I don't think Populous is going to fail. I don't think Veritasium is going to fail because of the problems that they're solving. Okay. Because you have to think of it from, you know, the margin and what these tokens are actually being used for. Okay. But invoice factoring and these peer-to-peer, this peer-to-peer lending that Populous is doing, that's a huge market, right? And it makes sense for businesses to adopt it, okay? Because if I'm getting charged 30% from a bank, and I can go on Populous, and I can get charged 5%, well, that just makes business sense, right? And also ease of use, control of my own capital. I can do smaller loans than I would be able to through financial markets. And there's lots of other incentives too. There's incentives for people like me and you to loan these businesses money, right? And this is true with Veritasium as well. Veritasium is going after the financial markets, where the most margin is, what the blockchain is best at. They're going after basically hedge funds. Veritasium is going after the hedge funds, and they're going after, you know, some of the like kind of like gold and silver markets, like the derivative markets in some ways. They're going after like people like Goldman Sachs and Bear Stearns is no more, but you know, these investment banks. Really, Veritasium is an investment bank built on top of the blockchain in a lot of ways. Okay, and that's where these companies are robbing us hand and foot, and that's where a lot of the fat is. Okay, and Veritasium is coming in. They're going to be able to disrupt that whole industry by reducing the costs of running a hedge fund and doing all these sort of financial things by just like Populous through a factor of 10 at least. Okay, so they're solving real use cases, and I love the team. I love Reggie Milton. I love the CEO and the team behind Populous as well. And they're smart businessmen. They have business backgrounds. They know how to build a business. They know how to market their product. They know what it takes to survive the building phase, right? Because a lot of these ICOs are going to run out of money, especially as Ethereum plummets, right? So they know how to make cash flow right away so that they can become self-sustaining, okay? And so it's important to realize that. You got to think, there's a lack of business people in crypto, okay? So that's why I like some of these business platforms. But that's it for you guys. Those are my top 4 buys right now. Litecoin, Digibyte, Populous, Veritasium. Never store them on an exchange, store them on a hardware wallet. Dollar cost average and accumulate these coins, and I think you will do very well. Not investment advice, but these coins are the ones that I'm buying right now. In fact, later in a couple of days, once my money clears on Coinbase, I'm buying Veritasium. I already bought more Populous a couple days ago, and I'm loving this cheap Populous and Veritasium, and that's what I'm buying right now. I'm going to buy some Veritasium later this week. Hope that helps you guys out, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.